that's from Svarim HaKadoshim and Tzasicha, Tovshim Emtes, that what's Zov v'chesav and the Choshevs, when a Yid gives tzedakah, Zov is the highest level he gives tzedakah. Zanois and body. He's healthy, he's happy, he gives tzedakah. Lower level is Kesef. Kishayesh sakonas pachat. There's something going on in his life and he wants a special schus, so he gives tzedakah. The lowest level is Nechoshes. Nesinas choyla shamatnu. He's already a choyla. And then he says to his family, give tzedakah my schus. So there's three levels. There's avodah tzaddikim. He gives tzedakah anyway. There is a yid that he's already, he has strong nisyonis. He wants the Eibusha to help him out, so he gives tzedakah. And there is a yid that Nebuch is a choyla already. But it doesn't matter. Even if a yid is a choyla, the choyach tzedakah will always work. Bottom. Okay. So yeah. So a shayla was like this. A yid came to fix his wife's jewelry. So the jeweler says, "This is a marriage band?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "What's the problem?" He says, "Usually marriage bands are gold. Usually marriage bands are gold." He says, "What? This is not gold?" He says, "No, it's not gold." Okay, so he comes to the Rav. He wants to know, is his wife his? They're married. They're married. They're.
It has to be shobbs. It doesn't have to be gold.
Oh, so if you tell a person, here's an envelope, I'm mekadesh you with $1,000. She says, okay, mekadeshes. She comes home, she opens the envelope. There's $500. It's not mekudeshes. There's $999. She's still not mekudeshes.
So mekudeshes.
Not mekudeshes. Look what the Shulchan Aruch says. Even Ezra, Simon Lamed Aleph. If you give her something that people are not bulky with, it's a diamond ring. Diamond ring. It could be a fake ring, could be a real. A ring could cost anywhere from $500 to $5,000 to more. So the din is, if he gave her a diamond ring, you need to have a professional appraisal, because maybe she's not so merdas. He says it's a real, it's so many carats and so clean and so size, but she doesn't know. A professional has to certify that it's taka true.
Isn't there no that she decided to marry this guy, so she's going to believe that he's giving her that's ridiculous. She trusts the guy to marry, to go into a family with, and be one with him. She doesn't believe his first word he says to her.
Oh, she's testing him.
It's ridiculous.
Well, you're thinking of a different type of marriage. The Chazal are talking about the etzem din. The point is that he has to be kind to her, and there's the halachas of kinyan. It happens to be there are many women that are very happy to get married, and they're not interested in how much the diamond ring is worth. That's most women, and that's why the minig Yisrael is, as we'll say soon in Shulchan Aruch, to give her a ring without a diamond, and her face should be covered. The fact that her covered face symbolizes that she doesn't care how much the diamond is worth. Really? And that the Rav should ask the Eidim if it's a Shava Pruta, and therefore it's clear to her and to everyone that the marriage is not based on the money she's getting. If it's worth $5,000 or $1, the Be'emes wants the marriage in either way. Good, but Lapoila it could be that a woman says, "I'm going to get married." If you're a millionaire and you have millions and v'chulu, there are women that way. Now, it's a miuta, but there are such women.
Want to get married that's much fees,
Maybe that's why. Just because they're interested in the money doesn't mean they don't want to. Just like we say, just because a person wants to do one chait doesn't mean he doesn't want to do another.
Rabbi, what if she's the one with the money?
Oh,
Frequently happens these days.
Yesh Mishaim, there is an opinion that says Afila Kiddush B'Yeven Stam Tzricha Shuma, even Stam or diamond ring, and he didn't say Chavanun. So it has to be certified that it's taka worth. In other words, he didn't say anything. He just gave a diamond ring. Has to be certified. Lakach Nogul Lakadosh B'Tabas She'ein Bo Evan. That's why the minig Yisrael is to do a ring without an Evan. It seems like it was an old minig Yisrael to give a tabas. Chassidus talks about why it's tabas, makif, the love is so strong, like we learned yesterday in the Maimer, to Harke Gigis, that the Chassidus, the Alter Rebbe says, is that he surrounded the Eden with love. So therefore it wasn't really their choice. It was when you love someone so much, they have no choice but to love you back.
In time Bet HaMikdash, they had tabad, they made some kiddush and everything.
No, I don't know in the days of the base of Mikdash, but already in the days of the Shulchan Aruch, the minig was tabas. Elamai, they were makpid that the tabas should not have an even. Im kitcher b'dash yesh ba'even b'stam tabas v'nimtza shel chosh av b'shein derech l'kadosh chashin l'kiddushin v'choyshes v'fil amar eidim tachas achol peshus asav v'nimtza l'chosh av v'bidl nindin nir lav mekadosh v'fil ochesh lach minyan ma'isa. Because like someone just asked, maybe she doesn't want you, doesn't care. The eidim said, oh, it's zov tor, wow, kala. Turns out it's nachoshes. But what's the difference? She wants to get married anyway, so therefore you can't just discount the marriage. It's a sofek mekudeshes. Mekomakim noigim tachas a chupa lishul ha'edim im atabas shava pruta kidei shetei da kala shehem mekatchin rak b'shava pruta. This way it's clear that the kala is maskim that she's not getting married for the money. She just doesn't care.
How do edim know that's a shava pruta? Usually
the Eidim are not only kosher to people, but they're mala mensch, normal people, min ha'yishuv. And they have a certain shuma bedaitim, they have a certain estimation, the das. They know what gold, what's zov, and what's kesev, what's nachoshes.
Was there any reason to suspect
How much does the ring have to be worth?
she
Could be
only
one of
wanted
these
to
rings
get
that
married
get
on
$25
worth of ring? Was in this case,
No, his machine.
why don't we say, well, even in a case where the woman did want, let's say there was one lady who only wanted to get married because the ring was worth, let's say, $10,000. But Roiv women don't. So why don't we say we go bust at Roiv?
I don't know.
Complicated question.
I don't know. All the poor you see Chazal
No, but you
don't
know
hold
what
that
I'm
way.
saying? Like, even if Mandia, since we don't see here, she said dafka, that the ring is worth five grand. We just see that the ring was worth a certain amount.
The question is not on this case. The question is on Din Shulchan Aruch.
Yeah, we always go bust it right.
Oh,
So if you have an egg, you put one egg into the thing, you knew that you had one egg that was bad, you go bust it right. So why don't we say here also, right women don't care how much, that they won't get not married if the guy swindles her out of half of the diamond ring.
I think he's wrong.
Why?
Because it's a lack of trust.
Exactly.
Trust is very
The marriage
important.
has to be
If the man lies to the woman, the man lies to the woman, you got a problem with
There's
it.
no reason to assume that he's tricking her.
Right.
Yeah, but-
in other words, he might have
But
been
he finds
tricked
out
by the
later,
jeweler.
he finds out later that
Right.
that's copper, it's not gold.
But he didn't trick her intentionally. Maybe the jeweler tricked
But the
him.
woman thinks that.
There's no reason to assume that she only wanted to get married if he gave her a $5,000 ring. Who said?
Okay, but
No, but if he tells her this is gold and it's copper,
Right, let's
There
give it
is
an honest
this-
mistake.
if
Most
she,
people make
let's say the
honest mistakes.
$1,000
That's
envelope
swindling
he
their
gave,
wives.
and it was
Maybe
only
the store
$9.99. She was expecting not
Maybe
because
the
she
store
wants to be wealthy.
Right,
You don't get wealthy from $1,000. She just wanted to. That's what he told her. So $9.99, it's still a lack of trust on his part.
lack of trust.
So in that sense,
Right,
it's a
but
make up
the
close.
people that
I
are
mean,
swindling their
is that
wives,
right?
just
Lapel, that's the Din
you
Shulchan
give
Aruch.
brass,
There's nothing
brass,
unique in
it's
this
supposed to be
case.
gold, give her
Right.
brass.
It's not relevant to this case.
Right.
In this case, because it was not.
Wives have sons
It was,
who
okay,
It's
why
not-
is it different in this case?
It's this no different. That's the Din Shulchan Aruch. It's no different in this case. Huh? No. Let's just finish the V'gam noigel l'chatzas pnei akal atznus ve'em akpitas v'mashem mekatchanoi said that's these two minhagim. So the question that the Rav here asked, when this person came to the Rav asked, okay, you know what? The woman is not makpid. She doesn't care. Whatever. This woman is probably mekudeshes. That's not the issue. She doesn't care if it's worth $5 or $500 or $5,000. His question is a different question. He went to a jeweler and he put down money to buy a gold ring. The jeweler swindled him and he didn't sell him a gold ring. What's the din? The Mishnah says if he sells him something for kesef and really zov or the opposite, the mekach is not a mekach and the moaz goes back. So it comes out that this ring doesn't belong to him. The money doesn't belong to the jeweler and this ring doesn't belong to him. It's not his ring. It's not his ring, B'chlal. This ring doesn't belong to him. The jeweler swindled him, yeah?
But he wouldn't want to be coined if he would mess up his condition.
He would want to.
Right?
But
So
L'poil,
it does belong to him because if we would ask right now, would you want to go and make a return for this ring or just get the the credit, the difference between the ring and what he owes you, you would say, of course, I'm not going to be mavatal this ring.
What's if they got divorced and she gave him back the ring, and he went to Bezdin and he got the first jeweler? What would you say then?
Yeah, that's a dvav shelo b'olim lo'olam yet. We're talking about dvarim b'olim.
But you
Was
can't.
it lost the
you,
ring, or
well, how
It's an
can you?
umdana. No guy would say, I want my condition is going to be bottled because I didn't know it was. Because I would go return it. Any person would know that he would say, I want to keep playing the ring, and I'll go back to the guy later on. He can settle it out.
So you could say that all the time.
Exactly. Get an
You could say that all the time. You could say every chosin that has a ring, the Rav asks, is it yours? Right? So why do you have to have makbid so much it's yours? So what happens? It's his father's, it's his brother's. If his brother-in-law bought it, you think his brother-in-law would be makbid? If his brother-in-law knew that this whole kiddushin, well, Lapel, you have to make sure that the chosin is the owner of the ring.
Why isn't he the owner?
Why isn't he the owner? Because if he went to Bezdin now, say even he was an Amoritz, he doesn't know his Kedushin is standing on this. Say he's an Amoritz, he doesn't know his Kedushin is standing on this. He's angry now. He didn't realize that his Kedushin is in jeopardy. He's angry about his ring. And he went to Bezdin and he says, 1 second, this is a cheap ring. I paid $500 for the ring. And he goes to Bezdin. Bezdin would say, yeah, you're right. And they would say to the jeweler that he has to take back this ring and give him a good ring.
What if someone sold a guy a $100 pair of tefillin? They say, I don't want the mitzvah tefillin because he told me I want a $1,000 tefillin. He gave me $100 pair of tefillin. You'd say, I don't want the mitzvah tefillin?
No, but the tefillin, who says the tefillin have to be yours? Tefillin shulam are kosher anyway. What's the difference?
Let's say the mitzvah though was totally it being yours. Would you say you wouldn't want them?
I would say yeah, lulav. Say lulav. Say lulav. The guy.
The first day you shook with it, and then someone told you was shaking with $100 so you wanted a $500 esrog. You say, I don't want the mitzvah?
The base of Mikdash, they said, made a special tanai that if I ended up taking your lulav and you took my lulav, I'm marking it to you and you're marking it to me. Why do I have to make a special tanai? You could say, I'm a yid and you're a yid. I want a lulav and you want a lulav. What's the difference? A lulav is a lulav is a lulav. And why everyone said, the Fedish, that I am maknet to the other guy and the other guy is maknet to me.
I'm not denying that. You have to own it. Fine. I'm saying if later on you find out that it was underpriced, you would say...
It's not underpriced. He has now the right to go to the jeweler and give him back the ring and say, give me now a gold ring. Haste this, that this ring doesn't belong to him. Now, you're going to say that he has the right to do it. So because he has the right to do it, even if he says today, I'm not going to do it, so today when he said, I'm not going to do it, now it turns to be his. But yesterday when he
Always the right, and they won.
he had the right, but we didn't know. So how could we paskin on these umdanas? Had he come to Bez, if he was Amoritz and he came to Bez and he said, what kind of mashigas is this? My wife is wearing a fake ring. I want to have a gold ring. Bezdin would say the jeweler has to...
You have all these brothers and latolas. All the $500 you're gonna make a new kedushin and make all the other brothers and latola and your own kedushin when you shake it.
so much plastic.
It's not mevatel.
If I take your ring and I'm a Kaddish Isha, the Kedushin is
But
not.
it's not. It was a mekach tos.
It's not a mekach tos. It was not a mekach. It was a mekach tos is something else. You have to return the difference of the money.
Right. Oh, this is
a non-mekach.
non-mekach.
It's a non-mekach.
It's not his.
It's not his.
He wants to come because he got a wife.
So Rav Elyashiv heard the case, and he smiled. He said, "It's not a big deal." He said, "The din is look in the second paragraph. Pasuk b'shulchan aruch hamoichel lechavedim mimei peiros nasan leminacha. Ein kan mecher shnei mechelim lachas b'vay." Said it Rav Elyashiv. In this case, it's mukadesh because it's a mashkin. Because the shulchan aruch says, "Hoylei mashkin al choiv sheyesh leitz lachedim." V'kiddush b'yisha harei ze mukadesh lefisha bal choiv yesh loy kinyan begufay shel mashkin. That if I get a mashkin and I give you a loan, I give you a $500 loan, and you give me a ring that's worth $500, and I'm a Kaddish Isha with this, she's Mekudeshes. I have a kinyan in the mashkin. There's another shitta that Yeshem and Dafke b'Mishkan Shaloi b'Shal Salvaos. I said, Yashu said, no, this wasn't like Mishkan b'Shal Salvaos. He didn't come to take a loan, really. We're saying that retroactively, it's like, the only thing is the jeweler couldn't be a goy. The jeweler cannot be a goy. I'll tell you why. Because we learn it out from the Pasuk, L'chot tiyeh tzedakah, that when you take a mashkin, you have to return it, and L'chot tiyeh tzedakah. So we learn out, so the Gemara learns out from here, that when I take a mashkin, it belongs to me. But that is shaykh, the Ramos says later, that shaykh only with a Jew and another Jew. Had the jeweler been a goy, there would taka be a problem. Then maybe we'd have to argue about the umdana or not an umdana. But since this was a Jewish jeweler, and therefore it's a mashkin, so he tricked me, he gave me the wrong, but at least now I have a mashkin that I could go to Bezdin and say, I have a mashkin in my hand.
That loan is worth Sheva Pruta.
Definitely worth more than a Sheva Pruta. Sheva Pruta is so little.
So that's his whole strength of his case.
So at least he has a mashkin.
Exactly.
So a Mekadosh Ramashkin, Mekudeshes. So good. I think it's a brilliant thing.
For who's it a mashkin?
The jeweler took his money. And he has a mashkin in his hand.
So the husband is in
Yes, so he has a he was Mekadosh the woman with a mashkin. I think it's a brilliant answer.
Okay, good. I don't think you have to even come on to that. You say that it has a din of Sheva Pruta because it's a mashkin. Has a din of a Sheva Pruta that he's not going to be mapatul his kedushin. I don't give him $100,000 if he knows, like you're saying, the jeweler's going to give him a credit, unless the jeweler is a gamer. So now you have all these things that the wife is a Rish Shanta, the jeweler is a Russia. You can't. The stam you don't have a chesus kashrus. So it's no one's gonna go and say that I'm not gonna give. I'll just make it.
At least the jeweler, you must admit that there's a dent in the cheskes kashrus of the jeweler.
Again, as a mashkin, who does it belong to? The mikvah.
Gotta hope so.
Why does he have to have a mashkin?
He has to give the woman Mekadosh the woman with something. Mekadosh the woman with
Why
something.
can't he buy the ring?
But now we're going retro.
Retroactively.
Right, so now that you're going retro, you have to say it, even if it's not his, but at least it's a collateral. He has, and if you gave a woman a mashkin, she's mekudeshes. That was Rav Eliashiv's answer.
The fake diamond is worth 10 cents.
The woman doesn't know
Go to
it.
China, even in
Right,
China.
oh, so that's a...
If she looks at the ring,
The Beis Shmuel says she have to tell her it's a mashkin. But could be that's not ma'akev.
What's the difference, right?
Well, that's what she doesn't. Why would it be? She doesn't know it's the mashkin.
That's why it's minig Yisrael to ask for a ring, a kiddushin ring, without the imprint of 925. Why? Because just in case, what is it?
925 is silver.
Oh, what's the thing on the gold?
16, 14, 20.
Whatever it is,
14
whatever
14 or 18.
whatever it is on the
14
that
carat, 18 carat.
it shouldn't be anything
Pure is
carved in.
24.
So this way, there's no
Pure is
shaila.
24,
What was
yeah.
yegiven hashuma, nish given hashuma? What was it? What isn't? This way, there's no shaila. It's a pruta, and that's it.
But Rabbi, I don't understand with the mashkon. When you give him mashkon, you tell him another month I give you back the money, you give you back the mashkon. In this month, meanwhile, he mekadesh
But
ish.
the 14.
I don't think it's right. Because he has to wait till the month will come. If he doesn't bring the money back,
Right.
then it's yours, then he can do it.
It's not right, okay, but she's mukadeshes.
Yeah,
Second shaila. Oh, a man came. It was Friday night. His wife did a hefsek tada. She counted day 1. She did a bedikos twice, every morning, every afternoon. Day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. Everything was good. Day 7 was Erev Shabbos. She got very busy. She didn't do any bedikos on day 7. Now is mikveh night.
Not morning, not night.
No, she did no bedikos on day 7. Not morning, not night. No bedikos. She didn't do bedikos shachlis. She didn't do bedikos after afternoon. Now she should be. She's on her way to the mikveh, and she realized, she didn't do any bedikos on day 7.
And it's already the next night.
Yeah.
It'd be what we call the 8th night.
Yeah. Well,
Combination, Rosh Hashanah.
it's Suda Shabbos now. So the question is, so it's day 8 already. Yes. The question is, could she go to the mikveh?
And she can't do it at night.
No, you can't do
Yeah, I'm
bedikos
just
at night.
putting out the basics.
The Mishnah says like this: Tanan, Hazov, Shabbat Koatzma B'Yom Rishon. That there is, they did a bedikah, Motzator, B'Yom Shvi Motzator. They did a bedikah day 1, day 7. All the other days in between they didn't check. Rabbi Eliezer, she's b'cheskes Torah. B'shur Rabbi Kiva argued. The Gemara says halacha ke Rabbi Eliezer. Halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer. If she did bedikos day 1, day 7 is good enough. Rabbi Elahu, so Bnei Yeshiva asked the question: Azov shebotku atzman yom rishon yom shmini matzah Torah. She or he checked yom rishon or yom shmini. B'shar yomim loy botku. The other days they didn't check. Rabbi Eliezer mau. What would Rabbi Eliezer say for that? Did Rabbi Eliezer require they should have at least day 1, day 7, the tchil on the seif? I don't care. One bedikos is good enough. Day 1 or day 7 is good enough. Amarav he tchilos nafa b'shein soifen. The Gemara says at the end soifen nafa b'shein tchilos and tchilos nafa b'shein soifen. Day 1 is good enough or day 7 is good enough. Rabbi Chanina argues, tchilos and v'soifan be'inon. You must have the tchila and the soif. Hacha tchilos and ika soifan leka. If you did only tchilos and not soifan, here she did day 1 and day 8, so it's no good. She did day 1 and day 8. So here she has to start everything all over again. She start everything all over again. Day 8 becomes day 1. Day 8 becomes day 1. She has to start all over again. And
day 2 becomes day 1, day 8 becomes day 7.
Day 8 becomes day 1. If she did day 1, day 8, day 8 becomes day 1.
The original case you said.
Rav holds.
The original case you said.
That,
you just have to do bedikos the next night, and then you're good.
Right, exactly.
So she has to check 16 days. If day 1 become day 8.
If she did day 1 and day 8, then she's going to wait so long to go to the mikveh. She'll be lucky to be able to go mikveh before her next period starts. Yes.
Right.
So that's the din in Yeridei. Sima kuf tzadik vav siv dalud. I mean, it depends how long her cycle is. Oh, she'll probably get in, squeeze in a week with her husband. Yeridei Sima kuf tzadik vav siv dalud says, "Am loy batka b'chol hashiva ela pam achas. Aloy shna batka b'yam rishon shel shiva b'yam shavi ab'echem em tzoyim." And make no difference if it's day 1 or day 7 or day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One bedikos. Because she checked 1 day in the 7 days and she's tired, Allah, it's good. If she didn't check in all 7, she only checked in day 8, and she found she's tired. She has only day 8 for herself. So if she didn't check in any of the 7 days, only day 8, so now she had 5 days, she had 7 days, you have another 7 days. So now she's at 19 days from the beginning of her cycle. So she's not much left in the month for her. Okay? That's the din. Zogt Yeshemrim shetzarech shetivdek b'yom hashrishon u'b'yom hashvi. She must check day 1 and day 7. Ve'ein lo. And the Beis Yosef says it's a isa korus. So even though most Rishonim paskin like Rav, that 1 bedikos day 1 or day 7 is good enough. And most Rishonim hold that day 1, day 7 is lav davke. Even the 1 day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5 is eichet good. But
I mean, if it's day 2 and day 7, you're saying?
Yeah, or even just day 2. Most of the Rishonim hold like Rav, that 1 time is enough. Rav said you could do day 1 or day 7. Right. And the Ravid says if you could do day 1 or day 7, then any day is good. Day 2, day 3, one bedikos.
Why is our example not good in this case?
Our example is very good, according to Rav.
According to
most of the Rishonim. But there's a suffix, it's a kodis, a question of kodis.
Right.
So the Beis Yosef says we have to paskin like Rabbi Chanina, and Rabbi Chanina said that you must have day 1 and day 7, and you can't go without having day 1 and day 7, so you shouldn't be makel. What the Dogel Mervava from the Noida Yehuda says that this Yeshemrim said das smag, that this is the da shita of the Sefer Mitzvahs Gadol. It's also another 3 Rishonim that hold this way. Shaloi usually most Rishonim are on one. If you put mamish, everyone's talking about this. It's not like an obscure sugi; it's a mishnah. So literally, like 20 Rishonim are on one side, and you have 3 Rishonim on the other side. But so usually it would tip the scale. It's just that over here it's a question of isur kodis. It's a question of kodis. So therefore, the Shulchan Aruch paskin not to be mekel, and you must have day 1 and day 7. Dogel Mervava says, Zeu das smag, shelo yoysim mechamish yom and bedika lebedika, at kol asher smag. You cannot allow to be more than 5 days between one and the other bedika. V'im ken afilu lo bodka b'yom ha'alef u'bodka b'yachem yom ha'mitzayim v'gam b'yom ha'shvi. It says the Dogel Mervava Mordek Chiddush. The smag said there shouldn't be more than 5 days between one and the other bedika. So what happens is she forgot to check day 1. She checked day 2 or day 3, and then she checked day 7. As long as she did, they have sektara. The dogma of Rabbi says they're a big chiddush. What happens? A woman didn't have sektara, and she forgot to do dik in day 1. And then she remembered day 2 or day 3. And then she did day 2 and day 7. That's good enough, even though the Shulchan Aruch says you must have day 1 and day 7. The Chanin and the Gemara says you have to have day 1 and day 7. But it didn't mean day 1, day 7. There's nothing special about day 1 and day 7. There shouldn't be 5. Day 1 and day 7 is that when you have it this way, you have 5 days in between. So if you did what's the difference, day 1 and day 7, or day 2 and day 7? It's just as good. It's just as good.
So 5 days.
It's just as good.
The ikar. It's not the
Yeah,
one and
that's the
7.
ikar.
So
That's
day
the
3
ikar.
would be not good then.
Day 3 would also be good. There was never 5 days in between that there was no bedikah. She had to have sektaida, and then it's good. That's the shit. That's what the Dogel Mervava says.
1 and 8, then it's more than 5 days.
Ah,
Which was
that's-
our case.
No, our case was that she had have sektaida, and she did twice a day, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. She only, Erev Shabbos was day 7, she did no
So
bedikas.
she didn't have less than 5 days.
She didn't have less than
So
5
that should
days.
be perfectly fine.
It should be perfectly fine. And the problem is that the Noda Yehuda changed his mind.
They'll only give a 7-day frame.
He can't have more than 5 days in the middle from one bedika and the other bedika, according to Dogma Rabbi.
Within those 7 days.
Within the 7 days, yeah.
So the case wasn't our case where she did that.
She did the bedika. She did the bedika day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, and she didn't do day 7.
So then
So it would seem that according to Dogel Meravava, it's good. However, Piskei Tshuva says that the Noda Yehuda changed his mind. And there's a Tshuva, he says there must be day 1 and day 7. Must be day 1 and day 7. So Poskim today have a dispute about this, like how should you talk a paskin about this? Now, in the case of this woman, is a little more egregious than the case of the Dogel Meravava, really. Why? Even though it's from a Bible, she did twice a day. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. Because in the case of the Noda Yehuda, she did, there is a svara that we'll learn soon in Tzemach Tzedek, that even if she doesn't do the bedik in day 1, but she does a hefsek taida. The hefsek taida could count like the bedik of day 1. But this woman that I'm talking about now, that's Friday night Shaila, she didn't do bedik of day 7. So in the case of the Noda Yehuda, she did hefsek taida, which could count like a halfway bedik in day 1, and she did day 2, and she did day 7. So it's as if she did day 1 and day 7. In my case, it's more egregious case. And Noda Yehuda later changed his mind. We don't know which one came first. And the poskim today are very divided about this.
She did have sektaira this
She did have sektaira, but in the case of the Dogel Meravava, why? Well, you'll see. I'll explain soon why the Tzemach Tzedek holds that it's like a half a bedika in day 1. I'll explain in a minute why.
But why don't we count the half bedika before the mikvah? Let her just do it right before she.
No, because that's already out
I
of
don't
the
want
days.
to have
It's
today
already.
because it's already into the next day.
We already
She
said you can't
finds
do it
out
at
that
night.
there was no down.
There's a few reasons, but Lepal, the minig is that she doesn't dochak anyway. It goes into the next day a little bit. It goes 2 minutes into the next day,
Exactly.
and that's the
How do
mitzvah.
Rabbanan
No, but
paskin
she
this?
did do the Haftakara.
Huh?
Should have done already paskin.
It's very. So let me get to this. So the tzemach. So I want to explain why I think what's the machloikas over here. There's a machloikas, a poskim. Let's read it inside. Next paragraph. The Tzemach Tzedek writes. The Sidrei Torah writes a story from the Mil Tzedakah, the Chacham Tzvi. They had a very big chumrah. There's a story with a woman. She started counting a shiva nekiyim, and then she decided to forget about it. No shiva nekiyim. Then she, after 3 days, she said, no, yes, shiva nekiyim. Chveis, I give you an example. Her husband decided he's going out of town. Whatever. So then why she have to count shiva nekiyim? She stopped. She stopped counting. She checked day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. She did nothing.
Then he comes home unexpected.
Otazai. Now she wants to go to the mikveh. So the meal tzedakah said, no, it's all over. As soon as 1 minute you said that it's that in your mind that it's over, it's over.
Even though physically she may not have had any dam.
Doesn't matter. She had a moich dochik the whole time.
More than
That's what the meal tzedakah says in the Chacham Tzvi. Yeah, Siddur Tara holds that way. The Chasam Sofer holds that way. And they hold. This is connected to the shir we gave once. That because the pasuk says v'sofra lo shivas yamim v'achet titor, so it doesn't mean that she has to make a svida, say hayom yom rishon. Hayom yom means the b'maisa. She was a bedikos that shows that that she's counting. That's the concept of the Gemara called sfurim lefaneinu. That these days are counted by her. Action speaks louder than words. So the action that she's boidik herself in day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, that action speaks louder than words. That's v'sofrala shivas yomim v'achet titar. Elamai says Rav, and Rav Chanina says you don't have to mamish count every day. If you start and you count day 1 and you finish day 7, it's as if you counted every day. And Rav says if you just started and you just finished, that's good enough. Says the Chasam Sofer Taka, I don't understand that Ivet says that any day in between is good enough. That Ivid is entitled to his opinion, said the Chasam Sofer, but I disagree. It's an unusual thing to say that to Rishon. He said it doesn't make sense. The Ivid says, the Shulchan Aruch says, that according to Rav, that you could do day 1 or day 7, so what do I care, day 1 or day 7? I could do day 2 or 3 anyway.
And it's in 7 days.
And once in the 7 days is good enough, according to Rav, the first opinion. So the Chasam Sofer said, I don't understand how that I've ever thought that way. At least it has to be v'sofrala. So according to Rav Chanina, she has to be be day 1, day 7. According to Rav, if she counted up or counted down, she did count. She started on day 1 or finished on day 7. It's good enough. But day 3 is worth nothing. It's 0, says the Chasam Sofer. But the Tzemach Tzedek, because you have to have counted. It has to be counted. It's either you count by saying, today is day 1, and let it go from here, or until you stand up on day 7 and say, just finish counting. So either way, according to Rav, is good. We don't pass on that way. We pass on like Rabbi Chanina. It has to be day 1 and day 7, but it has to be mamish day 1 and day 7. And Chasam Sofer was talking a case that she did day 1 and she didn't do day 7, but she already went to mikveh and slept with her husband. And her husband comes now to the Rav, and he says he suspects B'chlal his wife. She doesn't know how her bedikos are. First thing Chasam Sofer says is shneim ke'echad loy tovim. You got to call on this couple, and you have to be goyer and the husband more than the wife. Either the woman is wrong or the marriage is wrong. He says, how could a husband suspect that his wife is not doing the bedikos right?
She need a character.
So anyway,
There's a way, for heaven's sake.
the bottom line is the Chasam Sofer holds there has to be sfurim lefaneinu siddur Tara the meal tzedakah the Chacham Tzvi. If a woman in the middle of her counting says, whatever, my husband's going out of town, she's Masiach Das, she has to start all over again. Therefore, it must be day 1 and day 7 according to Chasam Sofer and all these poskim. Tzemach Tzedek rips them apart. Tzemach Tzedek has a very long tshuva, and he rips them apart. He says it's not true. The Levitz ring that's Tzemach Tzedek even innovating. But first I'll tell you, the Tzemach Tzedek holds there's no such thing as sfurim. There's no such thing as sfurim. The reason Chazal said that she has to check is to establish a cheskas tada. It's just that Rav said that as long as there's no 6 days in between, it's good enough. And if Chanina said as long as there's 5 days, not 5 days in between, it's good. And that's just to establish a cheskas tada. It's not the question of sfurim lefaneinu. It's not the question of svidas oimer.
The pasuk says.
Okay. Tzemach Tzedek deals with the pasuk. Oides mashakosav asidrei tada b'shem amil tzedakah the sfurim boi af l'man doim esoif and af b'shem tchilosav alchenim lo kiv d'mis nekim b'ezi yom mem lo yolu lo af b'shabbat k'yem alav yem zayin afilu yoytzim b'zev v'gam asidrei tada hiskim kein that the sidrei tada brings from the mil tzedakah. If a woman, she did check day 1 and the 7, but in the middle she was meyayish because she thought her husband was going out of town or whatever it's thing she did. So the whole thing is not counted. Tzemach Tzedek disagrees. He says, Ev Shalom, the Gam Reb Chanina, even according to Reb Chanina, that you need to have day 1 and day 7. The main thing is that she's checking not for sfurim, not to count. It's not a question of counting. It's in order to establish his cheskas tada because she was bleeding. So the Torah says that a nida needs just a hefsek taida, and a zava needs more. She needs a hefsek taida plus In the Shiva Nekiyim, we don't keep two separate laws for Nida. We have all the Chumas together. But originally, the Torah said that a Nida doesn't matter how much she bleeds. But as Nidosa, at the end, she makes a hefsek taira and she goes to the mikveh. But a Zava is belois Nidosa. So Torah says, besides making a hefsek taira to establish she stopped bleeding, she has to count Shiva Nekiyim. So the bedikos that she has to do is to establish that she's naki and she stopped bleeding. Belois Svida Mamish, okay, Nelach Meklal. The fact that she was miyayish for day 2, 3, and 4, and because her husband's going out of town, is irrelevant. Says it's
The
somewhat
hefsek taira could be the first day.
It's before the first day. She does the hefsek taira, and then she does 7 days.
Okay, she stops bleeding and then she goes to the first day.
Right. Mashik shasidei tarim kain. Amai b'dikas yem ches lemahani. The siddur tara's big question was, if it wasn't the issue of tzvidas oimer, so why is it if she checked day 8 is nothing worth? Zel mishum the lo hekel Rav wasn't mekel kim be a shisha yom ben bedika the hefsek taira bedikas yom shvi. There can't be more than 6 days in between the hefsek taira and the one bedika that you do. The Reb Chanina lohita rak yesh chamisha yom ben time. V'Rav hoysef lahokel gam tishisha yom ben time. V'shagam bedikas hefsek taira oila b'makim bedika the tchila. And the Tzemach Tzedek is mechadish. The Rav wasn't so different than Reb Chanina. Rav also holds that you have to have a bedika, two bedikas to establish the cheskas taira. It's just that he felt that the hefsek taira that is also helps for the bedika of day 1. According to Rav. But the bottom line is that according to the Tzemach Tzedek, if she was miyayish and she said her husband's going out of town, she did the bedika day 1, day 7, but in between it turns out she thought her husband's leaving town and for 3 days she did no bedika, she wasn't thinking about this. It doesn't matter according to Tzemach Tzedek. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is, according to all these poskim, besides the Tzemach Tzedek, the reason she checks is sfurim lefanenu. It's a way of doing sfidas oimer. So Rav says day 1 or day 7 is good enough. Rav Chanina says day 1 and day 7. Otherwise, there's no sfidas oimer here. But the Tzemach Tzedek says we're not talking about sfidas oimer. You're off. There's nothing to do with sfidas oimer here. It's just to establish a cheskas taira. And according to Rav, there can't be more than 6 days between bedika and bedika. And according to Rav Chanina, there can't be more than 5 days between bedika and bedika. So now, think for a moment. According to the Tzemach Tzedek, the bottom line, I would say, is that there's not 5 days in between. So what? Who cares if day 1 or day 7 or day 2 and day 6, according to Tzemach Tzedek? It doesn't say it. But if you think about it logically, what's the difference, day 1 and day 7, or day 2 and day 6? According to the Chassam Sofer, it must be day 1 and day 7. That's how you're counting Sfidas Oimer. By starting off, Hayom Yom Rishon, action speaks louder than words. You did a bedika day 1, did a bedika day 7. You established that you had your Sfidas Oimer. You counted your 7 days.
First is the most important day.
And the first is the most important because you have to start.
And if you don't do it 1, then how do you know on 2 that 1 was good?
Exactly. Without
as
1,
as you get further away from her need, she's more of a chazaka that she's trying to.
that's if you say you need svida. But if you say that the thing is cheskas tahara, and there can't be more than 5 days in between, so why do you care if it's day 1 and day 7 or day 2 and day 6? What difference does it make? If it's not establishing a svida soimer, if it's not a svida, if it's just to establish that she has a cheskas tahara, and you're not allowed to allow 5 days to go by without a bedika, what do you care if it's day 1 and day 7 or day 2 and day 6? Vasanaf kemina. Who cares? So I would say that in the Dogel Meravava, he was thinking like that Tzemach Tzedek, that the bottom line is to establish a cheskas tahara. So what do I care, day 1 or day 7 or day 2 or day 6? It's all the same thing, as long as there's no 5 days in between. And that's right. The lashon of the smag is a funny lashon. Shouldn't be 5 days in between. What is he saying? Shouldn't be 5 days in between. He says the lachal lechanina. You need to have day 1, day 7. He doesn't know how to speak straight. The smag, but the smag, according to the Tzemach Tzedek, kumta is good. He didn't care about day 1 and day 7. He's telling you that when Reb Chanina said day 1 and day 7, he doesn't mean day 1 and day 7. He means the lavdafka. It could be also day 2 and day 6. But the Noida Behuda said, no, like the Chassam Sofer, it got to be day 1, day 7.
And according to the Chassam Sofer, if you only need 1 7, what do you have to do in the intermediate days to demonstrate your counting? You have to say the path.
No,
today's
nothing.
Day 2, today's day 3.
No, as long as she got the clock started, she set the clock in the beginning and stopped the
So
clock
you
at
don't
the
have
end.
to do something.
Nothing. She has to do nothing.
So you cannot have a das that goes to the contrary.
We can't have it that's going to the contrary.
But we don't paskin that way.
We do cosmic.
Definitely
No.
passing that way.
Wait,
Definitely passing that way.
The woman has second thoughts. We paskin that.
Oh!
That's what I meant.
Oh, so if the woman has second thoughts about it, the Tzemach Tzedek spoke about it befedish, so obviously, it depends who you're asking. But if a woman's going to ask a Lubavitcher Rov, he's going to say, what's the problem? There's no problem. You go to the mikveh, there's no problem. But if in this case of our woman who checked day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, and she forgot to check Erev Shabbos, so if you ask the Chassam Sofer, he would say she can't go to the mikveh tonight. Tomorrow she'll do a bedikah, and then she'll go Matzah Shabbos to the mikveh. Because she has to check day 1 and day 7. Without day 1, you can stand on your head. You can't go to the mikveh if you didn't do day 1 and day 7. But according to the Tzemach Tzedek, I think she can go to the mikveh. But Tzemach Tzedek never said it befedish. Tzemach Tzedek never says it. My thinking and the Tzemach Tzedek saying is a big difference. I think that according to the Svara of the Chassam Sofer, you must do day 1, day 7. According to the Svara of the Tzemach Tzedek, day 2 and day 6 is as good as day 1 and day 7. But Tzemach Tzedek never said that.
Yeah, because you know why? Because Chazal say he needs Zayin Nikiyim.
You need chazaka.
You need Zayin Nikiyim. It's not a Chazak of Tyrus. It's Zayin Nikiyim. We don't have a Chazak of Tyrus. So what? You had this Chazak of Tyrus for 5 days, but you need a Chazak of 7 days.
Yeah, but Tzemach Tzedek says that the point is that it shouldn't be 5 days between bedikos.
We don't have it.
And that's what the Dogma Rebbe says.
Chazal ever say that? We Chazal ever say that?
Huh? She's not going to the mikveh before the 7 days are over.
But how should you establish on the day 7? She didn't-
Exactly. You don't have day 1.
But how is because as long as there's no 5 days in
You
between.
shouldn't have Shulin Kiyim, Maisa, if you don't know on the 7th day.
Exactly. Chazal say you need Zayin Nikiyim. That's my Sheilos.
Okay.
That's exactly my Sheilos. You need Zayin Nikiyim.
Okay.
How would you pass?
What's the difference if you have in between a Chazaka? But you need Zayin Nikiyim.
You use a
Okay.
Pass the
Huh?
mikvah?
to say that day 7.
If
Apparently the
What?
Chazak creates a Chazak. Because she was Tahor on the 6th day, the Chazak is
Sure.
Tahor on the
For
sure.
Doesn't the chazak have to be 3 times?
no, it's 3 times. There is 3 times. She did a hefsek taira and then do 2 bedikos. That's
But if it's a Betty evidence, she went to the mikvah Saturday night. She's not. I mean, that would make sense that she would be okay.
It would make sense rationally.
Yeah, but would it be okay? That's the question.
Oh, anyway, bottom line is, the woman was told to go to the mikveh on Matzah Shabbos because even though it makes a lot of sense rationally according to the Tzemach Tzedek, but the Tzedek never said so. And even though the Dogel Meravav said, but first of all, he changed his mind. We don't know which ones comes first. And secondly, even the Dogel Meravav, he was Mekel, was talking about a woman that had a hefsek taira and did day 2 and day 7. Day 2 and day 7, even it sounds like she did very little, hefsek taira day 2 and day 7, but in a way she did better than this woman that did twice day 1, twice day 2, twice day 3, but she didn't do anything on day 7. If you're going to say that the argument that someone just made here is that she must have day 7, but she did not have day 7. She did not have days. And even though I could learn the Dogel Meravav other ways, and I could say a svara from the Tzemach Tzedek, it's very good for Kol Yom Rishon, and that's also very good if this woman was coming and saying that she has been working for many months already to get pregnant, and she's taking a pregnant, an ovulation test. And according to ovulation test, she's ovulating tonight. When you go tomorrow night to mikveh, there's no baby. So, okay, so that's already not to be, that every dove would have to be done on such an extreme case. Anyway, the most of the Rishonim Paskin like Rab, that one bedikah is good enough. And sometimes Poskim are Mekel. But just for the regular Shaila of a woman, that even though she never did the bedikah twice every day, but she didn't do a bedikah day 7. And Reb Chanina says you must have day 1 and day 7. And most Poskim hold that that's likuva, and you must. So even though the Tzemach Tzedek says, and the Dogel Meravav says something that sounds like day 1 and day 7 is lav dafka, But maybe it is dafke. They were only saying that a woman that did day 1 and day 7, and in between for 5 days she was thinking, whatever, my husband's out of town, whatever, she was mayayish, for whatever other reason. But they didn't talk in this case that I'm talking about. And even the Dogel Meravava was talking in a case where she did have Saktaira, Bedika day 2 and day 7. But this woman did not do Bedika day 7. So she was told to go to Mikvah Matzah Shabbos and to do again the Bedika on Shabbos. Can't go Friday night. Had the woman said,
what will be the 9th day any better than going if she didn't go on the 7th day, then how is it any better that
she'll check on Shabbos. Shabbos turns into day 7. Her day 2 turns into day 1, and her day 8 turns into day 7.
And that's
So that's no problem. There's no one's gonna argue with that. That's good. Again, that's only if you hold that it's a question of cheskas taira. But if you hold that, like the other poskim, that you need to have sfurim, so no, you need to have sfurim. You have yomim sfurim. There's no way you can't go around it. There's no way to go around.
Real question about that.
Yeah, I didn't get it this Friday night. But it was on a Friday night.
Wow.
Bedikos. The thing is that sometimes. What happens is that there are women that hear kulas from other women, and the other woman heard from another woman. So they're not a woman that's doing the way she was taught from the Kala teacher. Usually is not going to end up with that many Sheilos. Usually the juicy Sheilos come from women that heard kulas from other women that heard from other women. So the Chatchila, they're very makel. They're not doing. Chatchila Shulchan Aruch says that a woman should do 2 bedikos a day, which is very hard. Some women, if it's hard for them, they call their Rav, and the Rav tells them what to do. Usually these women are never going to have Sheilos, because the Rav told them exactly what to do. The Sheilos, the juicy Sheilos, come from the women that heard a kula from the other woman, heard from other woman. So Mamela, she's not so clear what she needs to do or not to do. And Mamela, she's ending up sometime, but the Rav said that the Rav to 22, there's so many bedikos, these bedikos are just nuts, crazy. So Mamela, she knows that this is too many bedikos, so she starts paskening for herself. And then sometimes she realizes, and then she calls her the shaila, and then you can end up with something this woman didn't have such a terrible shaila. So big deal, she waited one more day to the mikveh. But the juicy shailas come from women that they're not checking twice a day, but didn't ask a Rav. They just heard that this is mugzim, that this tracking a day. And the truth is that the Achronim really have a hard time understanding why the Shulchan Aruch says that a woman should check twice every day. Why is it so important? Once a day, but twice every day? So the Achronim don't have a satisfactory answer. The Achronim do not have a satisfactory answer. But they could. Therefore, they should call a Rav. And the Rav will tell them, do only once a day. Sometimes the Rav will tell them, do day 1, day 7. But if they didn't call it off to ask, so they don't realize the importance of if they called it off, the Rav would find out what the problem is. If the problem is that they could do it once a day, he'll tell them to do once a day. If the problem is ad kedei kach, that they cannot do more than day 1 and the 7, the Rav will tell them to do day 1 and day 7. But the Rav is going to tell them, you must make sure to not forget day 1 and the 7 and impress it on them in a very strong way that they're not later going to have shilas, because they know that they're in a special case, they got a special heter, and the Rav is at the mushtain on the cup, and there's no such thing that you were in the office and you didn't get around. You must make sure. So this woman is not going to have shilas.
It's such a hechetim, so would the Rav tell her to do 2 a day?
No.
Usually, it wasn't a problem. She was sensitive to dam. It wasn't. She wasn't sensitive to the big. It caused her to bleed.
Usually, a Rav is going to be makel. It's more than just that her skin is sensitive. Usually, when the Rav says to do day 1 and day 7, there's more issues going on. So when there's more issues going on, like she's spotting and she can't get herself clean.
What if she's just starting out? Like if she's a mikrolevis, is there any way to be makel for them?
So then it's again, there's a shliach who has to judge.
I spoke to he said tell them day 1, 4, and 7, because if they miss day 7, at least they only go back to day 4.
Right. Okay. And if they do day 1, day 4, at least according to my pilpul and Samat Tzedek, they're good. They can go to the mikveh. Huh?
It's not good either because
They said 5
most
days.
people would say.
So there's not 5 days in between.
It's not good. It's not good. If you get
147 is fine.
Oh, they can be a hems in between.
Yeah,
It has to be with soup. 5 days with soup.
Starts from 4. She,
Not that?
Yeah, she did 2 bedikos. Day 1, day 4. It was never for she had
Within 5 days. No, within 5 days.
as long as there isn't 5 days in between. So it would be kosher.
We're saying bottom line, and she has to check on the first day, on the 7th day.
Must.
She must.
She must.
What about?
And that's true. The Chabad house, sometimes you have to be done. That you have to tell them a
So
kudiv.
beyond,
But the problem is that the frume vaiblach that's hasten from Anash, and one lady heard from the other lady. That's the way the shaila start. Because a woman that's a Chabad house, and the shliach told her badinus b'chulu, but she knows she has to do day 1, day 7, or day 1, day 4, day 7. So she knows. But even then, there could be taka shailas. A woman that does twice every day does kamat no shailas. Kamat no shailas. But this shaila could very well happen. On a Friday, as a frum woman, and she got busy. Quick, so just for the sake for one shaila. Someone's having a bochel is sitting here and he asked the shaila. Tzvi asked the shaila. Why should we pretend? Tzvi asked the shaila. Tzvi has a birthday on Shabbos. So the shaila is, when do you do an upsherinish? On Friday or on Sunday? It's a good shaila.
What's
So-
that? It's only a minute, yeah.
it's not based on.
So, shouldn't a minute we should just do minhagim like this? A minute Yisrael Taida.
Second, but we want to do like Roy Van, like have the like by a Chas V'Shalom is a Levaya, right? Chas V'Shalom, we sometimes cover the person.
You
We're
want
allowed to go, even though you're supposed to do for right away. For cover the Torah, you're supposed to do a Roy Van.
Okay, so the Rebbe answers your shaila. First, let me bring from the Marim Brisk. He says like this: Ladaiti, lahaktim, ladaiti, efshe. Kanina mishas, ma'achirim v'loy makdimin. The Gemara says there got be certain things like hakel and other things. You could only be ma'achir. You can't be makdim. Why? Mishum shamat kati loymot zman chiyuvayu. You could do it later, but if you do it earlier, the chiv didn't come yet. You did hakel a day earlier. David should said mikate sheva shonim, whatever mikate means. If you do it a day later, okay. You're supposed to do it there, but you did it a day later, whatever, because Shabbos came, this, that. But to do it a day earlier, it was nothing. So he says that minig, there is several reasons for this minig. But what orla, but so therefore you can't do it early. It's lemotas man chiyuvayu. The Rebbe brings always. There's a beautiful letter from the Rebbe for every upsherinish boy. The Friedrich Rebbe said that the main reason for the chinuch, there's several reasons. The main reason for this minig is chinuch. That at the year when the boy becomes 3 years old, heptzach on the chinuch. And where do you see the meaning of chinuch? Because you're leaving the payas and you start giving him a talis cotton and a yamuk and sabislach. But this is a major when the boy turns 3 years old. It's a major in your chinuch. There's a beautiful tshuva from the Rebbe, someone that was in Eretz Yisrael, and the upsherinish was a day or two before Pesach, and he wanted to wait till Lag BaOmer to do it in Miron. So the Rebbe told him an unbelievable svara. The Rebbe said that one of the reasons, many reasons for upsherinish, one of the reasons is it's a mitzvah of reishis hagez. It's like the first cut, just like when you shear the animal, it's like reishis hagez. The din is that all matnas kuna, you're not allowed to allow a yom tov to go over. You have chaz of a shoik in your freezer. Okay, whatever, put him, yeah, you're busy. You have a chaz of a shoik in your freezer. But before Pesach, Erev Pesach, you got to run with the chaz of a shoik and give it to the kohen. You're not allowed to allow a regel to go over and you didn't do the matnas kuna. So the Rebbe said, according to this, there's many reasons, chinuch, orla, but according to this reason in Minig Yisrael, so how could you allow your Pesach to come and you didn't do? So the Rebbe gives an eitzah. You should do the beginning of the upsherinish right away. And then the end of the upsherinish, you should do a miron on Lag BaOmer. Nice. So the same it would be if a person wants to make Berev Ham Hadas Melech and the day is not a right day. So the Rebbe's eitzah and Magridik eitzah. You could do a little bit at the beginning today and then finish when it's Berev Ham Hadas Melech. The ikir is that Tzvi, Zalois wachsen, and Mitz Hashem, a chosid, a Yerushamayim, or Alam, and it should be a nachas to Klal Yisrael, and a nachas to Beis Menachem Mendel.